Hey, disciple makers. Just wanted to send you guys a little thought for the day. And this one, I was just reading, our national director came out with a book recently talking about kingdom culture. And one of the things he brings up in that book is how one of the things that comes up so often in our culture right now, especially in the West, especially right now, especially with the generation that is on our university right now, is really just kind of this culture of offense, that we're easily offended, that we're easily upset. And I was talking with another Chi Alpha director this last week. I was over in Arkansas and with all these different district directors of Chi Alpha around the country. And I was talking with this one gal who is in Montana, and she was just kind of asking some advice and some questions. And one of the things that I was trying to encourage her was like, hey, Jesus said this is going to happen, that the culture will be offended by us, that the kingdom of God is offensive because it's contrary to the way the world works. But certainly we understand that there is an idea of like being offensive for offensive's sake, and we all understand that that's not good and not healthy, certainly not being as wise as servants or as serpents, as Jesus would say, gentle as doves. But our culture is so on the other side. Rarely are any of us in risk of being offensive for offense's sake. But that so often people are offended by us, and they're offended by the kingdom of God, and that's going to be a normal thing. But the thing that's really scary, I was on a call with a cohort of other directors this last semester, and we were talking about this idea, and one of the guys, Scott, asked the group, like, hey, what are the biggest kind of spiritual strongholds you feel like in this generation? And one of the guys, one of the national leaders said, honestly, I think it's just that spirit of offense. And Scott in his book kind of brings up, it's like, not every offense, of course, is a spiritual attack, but certainly the enemy uses it, and oftentimes when it's more offended than deserving. I think our culture right now is seeing the church splintering and breaking and hurting and suffering in no small part because of the offense that we have of each other. And so it's not that the world outside of us is offended by us, it's that we're offended by each other. So often, so regularly, so easily do we take this idea of fracturing and splintering and breaking because we're easily offended by each other. And it's everyone else's responsibility to not offend me. And so one of the principles that we talk about is like, can you look for the best in each other? Do you see the best in each other? Do you see the best of intentions, even if the practicals aren't always like how you would do it or how you would like it or what have you? But in our culture, I was talking with some of our leaders, and we were just talking about how like in so many, almost every ministry, sometimes that you've ever been in, you can say like, well, I disagreed with this, or I didn't like that, or you'll never find a community, a person, a spouse, a friend, a roommate that isn't going to at times get under your skin or offend you. And learning to always see the best in each other, always lifting each other up, putting a crown above each other's heads and watching each other grow into them, to be a culture of honor and to celebrate, to speak truth over one another. And that so often honor is not lying about each other, lying about pretending like we're better than we are, but it is speaking that kingdom identity, saying this is who you are, this is how I see you, even if you're not living in light of it. And then either, sometimes in the same sentence, either celebrating the things that they're doing that's in line with it, or challenging the thing that's getting in the way of it. It's like, dude, I see that you're I think God made you to be such a man of prayer. And the way that you're like not prioritizing time with God, I think is really getting in the way. Or man, when you were praying, at the weekly meeting last night in front of the other guys, I think you really just led in the way of like us seeking the Lord in that time. Man, I just saw how you are a man of prayer, right? Like speaking that identity. But let's be people who think the best of each other, who aren't offended by each other, but when offense comes, as it always will, is always speaking honor and love and validation over each other.